Hi, First Eucharist families. It's Miss Abdallah, and I don't know about you, but it feels like a million years since I saw you, even though it's only been 2 weeks. A lot going on in these last 2 weeks. Just wanted to run down a list of things for you guys to remember about First Communion the day of, just in case, everything we talked about at the camp didn't get all the way communicated, or, we forgot, or you have questions or didn't think about it at the time, and, So I'm just going to try to outline some of the more popular questions and see if I can answer all that for you here. And then beyond that, if you have issues, just respond to this flock note, and I'll keep checking my phone and trying to make sure that I answer your questions if you have them between now and either Saturday night or Sunday morning, depending on when you're having your First Communion, okay? So first and foremost, I would ask that all families please come 15 minutes early. Okay, I really can't stress that enough. This is not a mass you're going to want to be late for. It's stressful for the kids. It's stressful for us. We need them to be there. So especially the readers and the people bringing up the gifts, we need to connect you with the sacristans. If you're going to need a cue or you don't know when to bring up the gifts, I'm going to assume most of you do know. But if you don't, I just want to remind you all of what the plan is so that you're aware of that. And maybe some of you don't even know you are going to be doing that because your children signed up for that. So that's all listed below in case that pertains to you. The sacristans or the ushers, depending on who organizes that in your parishes, have been made aware that your families are going to be bringing up the gifts. So they're going to try to connect with you so that you know where to go. And if you have any questions, you can meet up with them. So those are usually the people kind of guiding people from the sides, greeting people. Anybody that looks like they normally work for the church or volunteer for the church that are kind of running things should be able to answer your questions. If they can't, send them to the deacons, the priest, Nora, if anybody knows Nora, or myself, or your catechists if they happen to be there. So just be looking for those people, and if they are available, they should know what the plan is and they can help you. Okay, as I said at the camps, I'm going to be busy going from one place to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. Ironically, the only mass I'll be there from beginning to end is the Saturday night mass at St. Thomas More, but we only have one student at that one. So lucky you get me the whole time. But on Sunday, just because of the way they overlap, I'll either be starting or finishing at either any of those masses. So I just want you to know who to look for when you get there. So getting there 15 minutes early will allow you that time to make sure you know where your child's supposed to be, where to stand, all that good stuff. Next, if your child is the one reading the greeting, the welcome, make sure that you connect with the deacon or Nora or somebody and you can practice, okay? And the same with the person doing the thank you at the end. You can practice at the ambo, that lectern, okay? There's step stools available. And also, families, if you can help the students with the microphone, to make sure the microphone, they know how to adjust it, or if you're going up with them, you can adjust it. Make sure the microphone's right in front of their face. And please encourage all of them, if I'm not there to remind them, to really speak into that, not to go back here. Go speak right into that microphone, because the closer they are, the easier it's going to be for people to hear them, especially because they have little voices. So it'll just be better for them if they can speak into that microphone. The person that does the welcome greeting is going to need to be cued by the priest or whoever's in the charge of the procession. So make sure that you check with them and say, hey, I'm the one reading the greeting, because then they'll say, okay, it's time to go up. They'll let you know when Father's ready to process, and that's your cue to go up and do the welcome. And they'll tell you when to do that. That's why you need to connect with that person when you get there so they know who you are. Okay, and I strongly recommend that you connect with the priests themselves so that they know exactly who you are and who to point to. But cover your bases. Make sure everybody knows that's your role. You're going to be reading the welcome. After you read the welcome, you're going to come back to the procession line, okay, Everybody's going to be walking up with Father, and the altar servers and lectors if you have them. Okay, some parishes have them, some parishes don't. So kids, you're going to all be the first ones down. When you're processing in, just like we had practiced at camp, you're going to go straight down and around, and then you're going to go right into the pews with your families. So families, you'll have your seats. That's why getting there 15 minutes early is very important, because you'll have your banner with your family name on it, right? The last name, your child's name on it. Your family will be in that pew, and then you're going to save the inside first spot for the aisle, okay? The closest to the middle aisle of every one of the parishes. That's where the priest stands for communion, or we'll call you up for call them up for communion, and I'll explain that in a minute. So that spot needs to be left open so that when they come up from the procession, they just slide right in. Okay? It's pretty easy. It'll be very seamless when you get there, but it's actually harder to talk about it than it is to do it. So they'll just come in, they'll sit with you, Mass begins, just like a normal Mass. Now, if you're at Queen of Peace or St. Thomas More on Sunday, the deacon will be doing the homily, Deacon Art, and he will be calling the children forward if they want to come gather around the altar while he does the homily. He may change that plan, he may not. So if he calls you forward, you come forward if you feel comfortable. If you don't, that's fine, but he will guide you and direct you what to do. After the homily is over, he'll say, okay, kids, you can go back. Whatever they guide you and tell you to do step by step, that's what you'll want to do, okay? They're not going to do that, I don't believe. I've not heard that they're going to do that at Lourdes or St. Anne's. If, though, at any time, the priests or deacons call the kids up or ask them to do something, that's okay. They do sometimes. Sometimes they go off script, sometimes they have different Eucharistic prayers, sometimes they do things differently than what I plan, which is fine. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're the ones that are leading the Mass. So even my best intentions, they might get creative, they might want to do their own thing. All of it is fine. None of it makes any difference. You know, as long as they make their first communion, the rest is gravy. So if they tell you to do something we didn't practice, it's okay. Just roll with it. Sometimes the Spirit moves them and they just decide, you know, hey, I want to call them all up here so everybody can pray over them or whatever, you know. So if that happens, don't be alarmed. Don't say, oh my gosh, this isn't what we practiced. But they will tell you what to do. Nobody will expect the kids to know what to do. They will, you know, ask them to do that. All right, so then after communion, again, I know for a fact at Queen of Peace and St. Thomas More, Father Hart is going to call the kids up and have them receive their first communion on the altar. So this is different than what we practiced. We're going to do the whole family come out. He is going to invite just the children to come up to the altar, since there's only 6 of them at Queen of Peace and there's 7 at St. Thomas More. So they're going to be up on the altar for the Eucharistic prayer. He will call them up. They will know what to do. He'll tell them what to do. So they'll just be up there. They'll receive communion for the first time. And then they'll go back and join their families' pews while the families come out and receive communion after. And that's totally fine. Now at Lourdes and St. Anne's, I think they're going to do it the same way as last year. But again, if they see, okay, there's a lot of you, I think I'm going to do something a little different. Just do it the way that they tell you to do it. Sometimes it depends on how many people show up. Sometimes it depends on a couple of things, you know. So again, best laid plans, but if it changes, just be listening. Whatever the priest tells the kids to do, they can do. After communion, of course, there'll be time to reflect and pray, and then it'll be time for announcements. So when announcements come, that's when the children who are doing the thank you go up. So the people doing the thank you will go up and read the thank you message, And again, same as for the other ones, that'll be on the pew, or they can bring it up in their hand, whatever they're most comfortable with. And again, make sure to adjust the microphone. Make sure if they're going up on their own that they know how to adjust the microphone in case I'm not there, that they can put that down in front of their mouth and know how to do that and be able to do that thank you. All right. If for some reason they forget to call you forward for the thank you, and it does happen, sometimes they get in the rhythm of how they do Mass and they forget announcements, or they forget that there's somebody doing a thank you, you can kind of wave, but then if they still don't see you and keep going, it won't be the end of the world. It will be a bummer because you've practiced, but just don't worry about it. If it doesn't happen, it's okay, is what I'm saying. Because sometimes we've had that happen in the past. Somebody forgot to flip the page and realized that there was somebody that was coming up to do something. So human error is always factored into this. We plan, but but it's okay to kind of stand up and kind of flag Father and be like, they're going to read, we're going up. If it looks like they're forgetting, if it looks like they're not going to do it. After Mass, as far as I know, none of the priests have told me they want to do the kids processing out. They figure there's going to be times families are going to want to take pictures and things like that. So they don't have to process back out with Father. But again, if the Spirit moves some of them to call them out, then maybe. But as far as I know in my talking with them this week, that's not the plan. But we'll stay flexible. So after the Mass, just remember you can do pictures. Remember also that on the side or in the narthex, so if you're at Queen of Peace or St. Thomas More, it'll be on a table near the narthex or the back part of the church or the front of the church, depending on what you call it. At Lourdes and St. Anne, I'm going to put them as near the narthex. I will point them out to you. Somebody will point them out to you when you come in, but look for them. The certificate for the kids that says they got their first communion, a little pin. I made vanilla chocolate pops. They're in the form of a cross. So there's still a refreshment, but it's not something that anybody has to manage or clean up. So that was my way to modify that. Vanilla chocolate, don't worry, nothing that will stain a dress. So they'll get that treat. At Queen of Peace and St. Thomas More, there are volunteers that are going to man the lemonade. I don't know that lemonade will go with milk chocolate, but hey, you're only a kid once, I guess. I don't know. But none of it will stain. Whatever it is, it should not stain a dress. And that's it. So you take your certificate. The priests all will be available for pictures afterward. And I think that's all there is from me. So hopefully that covers everything. Remember that this is their day. So have fun, enjoy. Looks like the weather's going to be nice, or at least not raining. That's where we're at now. So let's pray that doesn't change. If you have any questions, though, families, by all means, feel free to respond to this flock note. That'll be the fastest way for me to be able to respond, because I'm going to be, again, on the go starting tomorrow morning. I'm going to be just running around gathering steam, trying to get everything set up. So if you have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, we'll see you on Saturday or Sunday. Take care, families. God bless.